Hey, this is Michael C. Norman. Welcome to another edition of Maximum Life, Life More Abundantly. Now, unashamedly, the things that I share with you are always going to be based basically squarely on the scriptures because I found that to be one of the most reliable source of timeless principles. Now, I'm not asking you to become more religious, but I am uh, basically declaring how that these principles are timeless. It doesn't matter if you're a Pentecostal, Baptist, Methodist, doesn't your religious affiliation has nothing to do with principles. Principles will work if you work the principles. Okay, principles are nothing more than laws. Laws that are in effect in the earth that have worked for generations and will continue to work even long after you and I both are gone. So again, welcome to another edition. I want to, from the onset, encourage you to go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you've not done so, please do that. That helps with the algorithms and it helps me to grow the channel. And that's exactly what I want to do. And of course, I want to speak to those who want success. Now, again, I make mention of scripture because there's a verse of scripture in John 10:10 that goes this way. It says, that the thief comes but for to kill, steal, and to destroy. But I have come that you might have life and that more abundantly. So the idea is that we would have life more abundantly. That's in every phase of our life, in every sphere of our lives, whether it's relation abundance, or whether it's financial abundance, where there is mental abundance, where you're walking in mental health and wellness, all that encompasses being human is a part of that abundant life. And that's what we want to focus on during these broadcasts or streamcasts or whatever you want to call them, because again, it's designed to help you to come into abundant living. Why die living less than what God himself has actually prescribed for your life? If he says, I've come that you might have life and that more abundantly, notwithstanding that there are forces that exist in the world that will tend towards poverty, lack, and scarcity. But you don't want to be one of the ones who made yourself a victim of these sorts of forces. You don't want to align yourself. You don't even want to make the mistake of taking on a lifestyle that leads to lack and scarcity. Because again, the whole idea is for you to have life and that more abundantly to the extent that you can be a blessing. The idea is we're blessed so that we can be a blessing. Again, we are blessed so that we can be a blessing. And that should be motivation in and of itself, because the more that you have, the more that you can give. No one can give if they don't have it to give. But I believe that generally speaking, if we have more, we would give more. If you had more money, you give to more charities, you give to more events and churches and things of that nature that helps to make this world a better place to live. I'm not saying necessarily well, I won't even mention that. I was going to say something, but we're going to pass on that. Okay. But again, welcome to Maximum Life, that having life more abundantly. Today, I want to talk about sustaining wealth. Now, if you know anything about me, if you followed me for any length of time, I've been doing this for a number of years, for decades. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been a business person. I've been in real estate. I've done a lot of different things, and I've had some exposure to wealth. But there's certain things and attitudes and character traits that those that are wealthy, they begin to hold, they latch on to, they learn the principles, and they make that principle their North Star, and they hold on with all their mights because they know if I follow the principle will lead me to the promised land. It will do it every time. It never fails. The law of gravity will never fail. The law of gravity says what goes up must come down. Give it a try. You toss anything in the air, and eventually it's going to come down, no matter how high it may go or how low it may go. So that being said, I wanted to deal with sustaining wealth and just give a brief overview. I'm just going to do a flyover. This is by no means an exhaustive study. I'll be hosting, along with my wife and a few other guests, in the month of March 1st. I want to put this, save the date in your calendar. March 1st, will be doing a webinar called The Global Algorithm of Wealth. And this global algorithm of wealth is as the topic says, it's showing you the algorithm to developing wealth, strategies, concepts, and ideas that will bring you into wealth. So mark it down. You got to register. You can. I'll put the I'll put the link in my description. But I would encourage every one of you to make sure that you sign up for this webinar, because it could literally change the very trajectory of your financial future. All right. So one of the principles of sustaining wealth, number one, to say sustaining the level of success you desire, one of the biggest things that you can do to sustain is to do what you're doing right now. Watch videos, read books, attend webinars and seminars that will help educate. Now, again, I have to employ some of the scripture which says that my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you're subject to destruction. And the less you know, the less you're going to be able to produce. So even God says if you reject knowledge, the knowledge will have to reject you, and not only you, but it will reject your children and generations to come. Why is that? It's because if you don't know anything and then you pass that ignorance on to the next generation, then they're going to have the same measure of success, or the lack of success that you had, because you pass your ignorance to the next generation, and so on and so forth and so on. That's how it goes. And that's how you create cycles within not only families, but in neighborhoods and in generations. As a matter of fact, an entire nation can be subject to a cycle if they subscribe to a particular mindset and attitude that does not lead to prosperity and growth and development. So in order to combat that, get a book, go to attend a seminar, watch one of the webinars. As I mentioned before, March 1st, The Algorithm of Wealth. That's one of our premier webinars that we do, and we're doing it, and it's a very inexpensive webinar as far as I'm concerned, because it could literally bring thousands of dollars, maybe millions even, into your possession if you follow the principles. So you see there's a trend happening here where it concerns principles. All right. So attend webinars. Until you understand how money and business work, you must have a system. You must understand how money and business works. You must have a system designed around both money and business in a way that it becomes self-perpetuating. In other words, that it continues not only to exist, but it expands and grows through the course of time, which makes it unnecessary for you to go out and get a traditional job. And that's the whole idea. You want to move away from the traditional concept of I've got to get an education so I can get a job. If you're going to be educated, I think for me, the best education, or the best form of education, is to educate yourself concerning business first. How is business done? How do I form a business? What are the tax liabilities as it relates to business? Did you not know that the government will give you certain credits for just having a business? If you don't know, you won't be able to reap that benefit. So again, education is important. I'm not knocking going to school, but I think I mentioned it in the earlier video of how the school systems, the system or the education system is designed to prepare and prep you to go to work for someone else. That's the basic premise of a school system. If you go back to the Rockefeller era and the people of that back in the industrial age, when they really required a lot of workers to work in the factories. So we now have to educate them, not only to learn, reading, writing, arithmetic, but to also equip them to be able to go into these factories and work. The whole idea. Most people, if you talk to them right now, what's your highest motivation? What's your desire for yourself and for your children? Well, I desire that my children and we all get an education so that we can ultimately get a job. Now, there's nothing wrong with a job. Again, there's nothing wrong with having a job. But if you think that a job is going to bring you into financial independence, you're mistaken. Because again, a job is not designed, it's not the purpose of a job to make you financially prosperous in terms of independently prosperous, to make you rich. Let's just put it like that. A job is not designed to make you rich, okay? Because the job itself is designed to make the owner of the business rich or to increase. It's not designed for the employees. It's designed for the employer. So the only reason that he needs employees is so that it can help expand and grow and administrate the business so that it can grow and yield maximum profits within the business, which ultimately benefits, of course, it benefits the employees, but the employer reaps the lion's share of the wealth increase in profits. So that being said, you understand now that an education is important where it concerns traditional schools. But how much time and how many years would you be able to shave off of your life in terms of saving the amount of time that you would spend going to a 4-year university and then perhaps going to 2 more years to get your master's and your PhD, ultimately spending 10 years going to school only to earn a certain dollar amount, usually, maybe $250,000. That's good. But how much work is it going to require for you to not only make it, but sustain that sort of money? I mean, most people who make that kind of money, they don't have time. That's the whole concept behind jobs. The traditional job is the exchange for money for your time. We will give you, as an employer, we will pay you a certain dollar amount for the time that you spend working for the company. That's how it works. It's an exchange. Exchange your time for money. And the more time you give me, the more money I'll pay you. That's how the system works. But wouldn't it be a great thing when you can discover how you can increase your level of earnings and your level of profits without having to spend so much time, without having to invest so much time for so little money? As it currently stands, most people who make upwards around $100,000 to $200,000 a year, they're working a good 60, 70 hours a week, some 7 days a week. So how much better would it be for you to make that same, say, $100,000 and never even have to go to the traditional job? You don't have to worry about fighting the traffic, the rush hour traffic. You don't have to worry about co-workers and things of that nature, because you've discovered a business for yourself, whether it be a traditional brick and mortar business or an online business. The whole idea is to get to a place where you're not subject to the whims of someone who sits over you in terms of how much money you can make, which ultimately impacts where you can live, what you can drive, and where you can go on vacation, if you can go on a vacation at all, or at least afford to. All right. So that underscores the importance of reading books, all types of books on finance and wealth building and developing the proper mindset. My biggest forte for me is developing the proper mindset, because I understand that everything starts with a mindset. It doesn't matter what your desires are. If you don't have a proper mindset about your venture, what it is you're venturing into, then you more than likely will not become successful. And who goes into business without wanting to be successful? Who goes into business looking forward to failure? Because, there's a statistic that says that 4 out of 5 businesses fail within the first 5 years. Most of them don't survive the first year. So it's an idea of finding your niche, finding your business, sustaining that business through proper business principles. And again, shameless plug, you can join us March 1st. We'll give you more information. Save the date for the global algorithm of wealth, and we'll teach you more about that. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a CPA, but again, I'm just sharing principles that have worked not only for me, but for others, for generations, they've been working. So again, if you're going to sustain wealth, this is even before you get it. If you have it, then the way you sustain it also is by the same principles. Educate yourself through books, through seminars, through webinars, through various programs that will, and nowadays you can get the book, your books, you can get it on your phone and listen to books, audio books. There's a way that you can educate yourself if you desire, okay? Because getting wealth is the easy part, the easiest of the two parts. Sometimes that's a challenge too, but it's the easier of the two. Getting is easier than sustaining. The easy part is losing weight. The harder part is maintaining that weight loss, making sure that 20 or 30 pounds that you lost doesn't find its way back to your body. So you have to, the biggest challenge is not getting money, but maintaining it. So as one wealthy person has said, that it's not the money that you make, that it's the money that you get to keep. So you must understand, again, working harder only makes you tired. It only makes you more tired or tireder. Okay, if that's such a word. It only makes you more tired. Working harder is not the key to wealth. There's a certain degree of work that you have to do. I mean, you have to work hard at whatever the craft is and the product that you're designing and making available to your customers or your clients. Obviously, you have to work hard in that regard, but just working hard for the sake of working hard, you could be working hard at doing something that there's no one who desires that particular product. You can work hard on an idea or a concept that there's no market for. I mean, if I'm going to start a stamp collecting business, well, if there's nobody out there that likes collecting stamps or likes buying stamps, then I'm not going to maximize my business venture because there's not a market for it. Okay, so one of the key aspects of sustaining wealth is one of the most, this is no brainer, budgeting and spending habits. Budgeting and spending habits. Now, you might say, that's a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised as how many people are flying by the seat of their pants. They're just making it up as they go. They're just working it out as it shows up. A budget is your North Star. It says, this is what I make, and this is how I will allocate. So as you know, most financial planners use a pie as an example. So if I had a board, I show you a pie chart. And in that pie chart are different slices that represents different financial responsibilities and income sources. So you have to determine how much money you got to spend on rent, electricity, water, and all the other things that helps you to do the sort of business that you do. You need to understand that sort of thing, okay? Based on how much revenue your business is generating. If it's not generating any revenue, then eventually, you're going to be out of business. But at the same time, while you're generating revenue, you want to be in a position where you can allocate certain monies, not only for expenses such as office supplies, electric bill, water bill, etc., but you also want to be able to put aside a certain percentage of your revenue for investment or for growth and for unexpected expenses, things that you didn't expect to happen during the course of the year. Okay, so it's important for you to recognize that and then kind of model yourself around that idea. All right, so budgeting and spending. And again, this second point, live beneath your means. Spend less money than you earn to generate surplus for saving and investment. Now, that's important because, again, as you are bringing in revenue, you don't want the revenue to come in the front door and leave through the back door. You want to be able to extract from that revenue a certain percentage amount so that it will enable you to grow and expand your business or your own. If it's just your family budget, you want it to grow because you may have children. So your children are going to go to college one day. You're going to fund that, or fund their business when they are of age to start their own business. So at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that you're not spending just as much as you're making. I mean, that's basic economics, right? Not to spend more than you're making. So eventually you'll be out of business. So you learn to track your expenses, monitor where your money is going, to identify areas for potential cost-cutting priorities. Priorities, needs over wants. Allocate funds to essential expenses first. So again, the greatest challenge for all of us is developing a concept of where we understand what we need versus what we want. Our wants and our needs are not necessarily the same things. There are things I want that my current financial situation may not allow me to pursue. So now I've got to develop the discipline enough to say, I'm not going to rob from Peter to try to pay Paul. I've got to wait until I earn enough revenue that I can purchase the things that I desire. That's just, again, common sense economics. You don't have to be an MIT graduate to understand this sort of thing. If you're bringing in enough revenue to cover all of your expenses, to operate your business, to operate your home life, then again, you can begin to allocate certain percentage of that revenue to put away for whatever, for vacations, for your children's trust fund, for college, or whatever it is you're doing. Again, these are things that you can look into yourself. But again, if you don't take on the mindset of, I can't get into the habit of just being an emotional spender, you can be an investor and still be emotional in your investing, and still you become you be broke because you invest from the standpoint of emotions rather than stats and information that's necessary to invest safely. Now, there's no such things as guarantees in the investment market, but again, you can mitigate the level of exposure that you have to loss by doing your homework. You got to do your homework. So I wanted to come on and share these few moments with you to try to encourage you to get to a place in the mindset where you're going to, well, number one, like I said before, buy the books, attend the webinars, attend the seminars, get around people who are living at the certain level that you want to live. Watch them. If they won't allow you around them, to be around them, then just watch from afar. Pay attention. The internet is so filled with so much information. There's no reason for us to not know how to do anything. In this generation that we're living in right now, there's no reason for you to not know how to do anything. I mean, I might be ignorant in a certain area, but I won't be ignorant in that area for much longer than 10 minutes. That's about as long as it takes to find a YouTube video, or watch it, and educate myself on a particular topic. So again, this is how you not only gain wealth, but you sustain wealth. And I have to say this before I conclude this time, that how important that wealth is not just the issue of how much money you have in the bank, but the truth of the matter is, in the time we're living now, your health is your wealth. Your health, how you take care of yourself. Now, I know that now more than ever before, because I've had I just had a quadruple heart bypass, and I overcame that. Thank God, I'm doing well. But I'm learning more now how important. Don't neglect the health of your body, because that's your supreme wealth. There's a verse of scripture again that says that I desire that you prosper and be in health even as your soul prosper. So the idea is to take care of yourself to the extent that you can be able to manage. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his health? If you lose your health, then you lose the potential for wealth. Okay, so health is a very, very important aspect and component of building wealth. As you're building your financial wealth, you need to also be building your physical wealth, whether it's working in the gym or, of course, educating yourself. Okay. All right, so I hope you got something out of this. And if you did, make sure you click the like button. Okay, do that for me. And then, of course, click the subscribe button. If this is your first time watching, I need you to subscribe. And the more you do that, it helps me with this channel and the algorithms that YouTube has designed for the channel. Okay, so that helps me more. Okay, and of course, I would invite you to become that electronic evangelist and just share this broadcast. If it speaks to you, it resonates with you, more than likely it will do the same for others. So until the next time we meet, this is Michael C. Norman wishing you maximum life and live life more abundantly. Okay, we'll be back right here, same time, 10 a.m. Mondays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Mondays, right here on YouTube. Again, share, click the like button, and subscribe. And we will see you next time right here on Maximum Life. We'll see you then.